and then all of high school. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of show you, I'm going to give you an overview of the classes that are available, how to find them, how to know what choices you have to pick from, and then I'm going to show you the form, which is the same for all 7 middle schools as virtual as well, how to fill that out and then to submit that. So when you submit the form, you will have told us what classes you want to take. So hopefully when I'm done here today, you will know how to do that. And then as I'm presenting this, if anything that I say does not make sense, or if I omit something or don't mention something, you can go ahead and type it in the chat, and we'll try to get that answered for you. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And where you find these forms, Ms. Prose, are you, I know Mrs. Moore had done a previous class for you today. Are you going to put these in your page, in your school page for them? Okay,
yes.
good.
So all of the links so Mr. Hogan's going to show you some links of like where to sign up for your classes and some course descriptions and everything. So he's going to go through that with you, but I have all of the links for you guys too. And so I will email them to you and your parents, and I'll post them on Schoology too.
So since we're doing the presentation here in this, are we social studies or English? What
this is English. I know.
English.
I usually
teach
English. Yeah. I usually teach social studies, so that's why he asked that question.
Yeah. So so that's where you'll find them, because this is where we're presenting them. Okay. So where I'm going to find mine, and this is also true for anybody who's at Jeff, it's in your courses, in your Schoology courses, as well as where Ms. Prose's class is. You'll also find it in the JMS guidance one. And then they're also listed in various places on the main websites, under probably in the guidance part of the websites at the schools as well, in case your parents are not finding. I don't know, it seems like no matter how many ways we send this out, somehow it manages to elude people. So as many ways as we can get these, we do it. So there's going to be a list of 5 links, and only so if you're not at Jeff, you would only see 4 links, and maybe 3, depending on whether this Avid application. So I've got in front of me here is, I'm going to start here in the course descriptions, but this also, you'll be also looking for this 7th grade enrollment request form. Now, we're not going to fill any of these out today. You're not going to need to make your decision or anything like that today. Although some of you, I know that a few people have somehow figured out a way to get this stuff done early, but we are running a little bit behind because of the snow day. But we have extended the deadline out because of the snow days that we've had this week. Jeff middle kids, you're going to find this STEAM elective request form on your Schoology page. That's only for Jeff kids. As I'm going through this, I'm also going to point out some things that are only for certain buildings other than Jeff. And this is the Avid application form, one of the classes, and there's a class called Avid. And when I talk about the application, it's in here. So yeah, so wait a minute, am I talking to 6th graders, right?
Yes, yeah.
All right, so we're gonna go into the middle school descriptions page. It looks a little bit different, but this is depending on which one you go into, the one I've got here. There's 15 pages here. You can ignore 2/3 of it because it's got the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade classes all together. So you're going to be looking for 7th grade classes because next year you will be a 7th grader. And when you look at these classes listed, you're going to want to pay attention to how it's listed. And what I mean by that is first thing you want to do is make sure that it's got the grade level. So like these ones here, this is the English class for next year for you all because it's got a 7 behind it. Sometimes when you go down here in the elective classes, it actually says 7th grade. So like these here, we'll say 7th grade. So yeah, so actually, since this is a 6th grade going into 7th grade class, I should not have as many options if you're at other schools. So hopefully this will make it a more streamlined process. Okay, so when you're looking through, and again, this is the middle school course descriptions. This is the 15-page document that tells you what they teach in the classes. It lists every class. So the core classes of math, science, social studies, and English are in here, but you're not signing up specifically for the course. You're here for the elective. So I'm going to go switch through the cores, and you're definitely free to look at the description so that you know maybe what you're doing in your English or social studies or science class next year. That's in there for you to see, but you don't have to think about any of that as far as filling out an elective offering. So that takes us down to page 7. And what we've got here is this is where the electives start. And you want to think about electives in the 7th grade in one of 2 categories. So you're not going to have rotational electives anymore. That's a 6th grade thing. So from now on, rather than have an hour where you'll have 4 electives that rotate every 9 weeks or so, you're going to have classes that either meet all year or classes that are going to meet for a semester. So a semester is half the year. So when you're looking at these classes and you pick one out, you just want to be aware of if it's a year-long class and if it's a semester class. And the first line of the descriptions in most cases tells you that. So like, let's look at some descriptions. It doesn't look like the world language ones do, but they have those down. All world language classes are for a full year. So in the 7th grade, you may start taking a world language. And the 2 middle school world languages that are offered are French and Spanish. If you look up here where it talks about these other languages, those are not available until the 9th grade. So if you thought about a world language and you really wanted to take German, you would be waiting till the 9th grade. If you really thought about a world language, you would take Japanese. That would be 9th grade. But if you're ready to take French or Spanish, you can start in the 7th grade. And what they do is you want to find the one that says 7th grade. And when you're in the 7th grade and you take it, they take the first level of a world language, they slow it down, kind of expand it out a little bit as far, go in depth, and they call it 1A. So French 1A or Spanish 1A, that's the name of the world language classes. You do not have to start a world language in the 7th grade or even the 8th grade. For French or Spanish, we already talked about how you have to wait till the 9th grade for these 4 languages, Latin, German, Japanese, or Chinese. But you can also start French or Spanish at that time as well. So most kids though will start 7th, 8th, or 9th. It's pretty rare that a student by 10th grade has not started a world language. World language is not a graduation requirement for high school. But looking down the road, a lot of 4-year colleges do have a world language requirement. Usually it's 2, like Mizzou, it's 2 levels of the same world language, which is probably the most common thing that colleges will have. But it is not a high school graduation requirement. PE and RTI. Well, actually, I'm not sure how. I think you all do you alternate with an AC lab? I'm trying to remember. What do you guys have alternate PE? Is it AC lab or is it? It is. Yeah. Okay. So PE will still alternate next year, just like it does this year, every other day for the whole year. What it alternates with, that will depend on whether you choose the in-seat or the virtual option. So in-seat and virtual learning modes are going to remain as they were offered this year. And that will be part of when you enroll for classes. Your learning mode is also part of this enrollment process. So you are going to declare for next year, so for the entire year, are you signing up for virtual like you did this year, or are you going to switch over to in-seat next year?
Yeah, and that's something that I didn't know until Miss Moore came to one of my other classes. So you guys will have the option to do virtual again next year or in seat. It's going to be up to you guys. Okay, so keep that in mind when you're talking to your parents will really make that decision, but so just make sure they know that.
And it does matter even now which one you pick, because we build the schedule number of seats per classroom, virtual or in seat, based on what kids tell us and families tell us they want to do, because that's takes a long time to build these, and that's the way we have to do it. So it's very difficult. I don't know if anybody in here has tried to change learning modes. It's very difficult to change a learning mode deep into this process. So you will notice on this course descriptions page, most classes are offered both in-seat and virtual. There are a handful of electives, however, that are not. And that's going to be mostly your technology classes and your family and consumer science classes. So let me scroll down and go past the 6th grade classes, because you already had 6th grade. So these are the elective course descriptions. They got 7th and 8th grade mixed in together. So you want to look for the ones that say 7th grade. So this Artistic Journeys class, that's a 7th grade course, and you see it in here twice. So what that means is that class is offered both in-seat and virtual. So whichever learning mode you pick, Artistic Journeys is an option. Same thing for Theater Arts, because you see it in here twice. So now these classes are not offered because they say 8th grade course. You're only looking for the 7th grade courses. If you're in band, 7th grade band is called intermediate band. Same thing with intermediate orchestra if you're in orchestra. Those are both offered. So as I scroll down, I'm trying to find one that's not. Okay, so here are the tech classes. So this Inventions and Innovations is the 7th grade technology course, and you only see it in here once because that's only an in-seat option. Same thing with this family and consumer science class. Now that actually, when you do it on the form, when you actually say whether you're in seat or virtual and you pick that on the form, it actually gives you a specific course request that filters those classes out of there. So although when you're looking on this course descriptions page, you see everything, once you choose your learning mode on the form, it filters those classes out of there, so you won't accidentally sign up for a class that's not available. You just don't want to be confused if you don't see something. It's like, where is it? And you'll be like, oh wait, I clicked virtual, so it's not offered. Avid is another one that is only offered in seat. And Avid is a just like world language. In the 7th grade is the first year you can take Avid. Stands for Advancement via Individual Determination. Avid. We take the first letter of each of those words. Somebody, okay, did we get it?
We got it.
So Avid is a year-long course.
Hold on. Okay, sorry, I changed it so they can't unmute.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, go ahead.
You got me back now?
Yep, you're good.
So Avid is a year-long course, and it has a separate application with it, which is when I showed you that list. I said, here's the Avid application. So signing up for Avid does not get you into Avid unless you fill out the application. You have to get accepted into the program, because Avid has a lot of extra things they're going to teach you in there that's going to help you become a stronger student to be able to handle high school and college and things like that. They just want to make sure it's part of that application, and then there's an interview that follows up to make sure that the student is aware of kind of the things that they're going to be doing in there, and that they really want to take the class, because Avid really doesn't work very well if you've got people in there who don't really want to be in there. That's where the ID part comes in there. Individual determination part of Avid. So yeah, so you just got to make sure if Avid looks like class you want to take in 7th grade, and you can start Avid any year. Some kids start in the 8th grade, some kids start in the 9th grade, and this one, some kids start in the 10th or later. It just kind of, some years it's able to fit in there. You can take it more than 1 year. Just as long as the kid is enjoying the class and feels like it's useful to them, they can take that elective.
Yeah, and Avid is a really good class. So let me just tell you a little bit about what it is. So it's a class where what you do is you work on a lot of organizational skills. Um, and so if it's like if you're a really good student, but maybe you struggle with some organization skills, or maybe you focus on, or you are just maybe you need help with asking questions, and they also give you a really good like how to take notes effectively. And so it's a really really great class that kind of gives you all of the skills you need for high school and college too. And so if you're a good student who is maybe struggling with turning your assignments in, or taking notes or things like that, that would be really really helpful for you.
And that is the last class listed. I do think actually there is one. This is for anyone who's in Lang. So if you see one that says Lang only, now this is an in-seat Lang only, so you always got to make sure of that as well. But for the most part, every class is offered here at all 7 middle schools, and except for those couple ones I pointed out, are offered both in-seat or virtual.
Mr.
Okay.
Hogan, there was a question in the chat that said, how many different electives are there to choose from?
So you're filling in 2 slots, and with those 2 slots, you have a different amount depending on whether it's in-seat or virtual. But I have not counted, but we can do that on this next thing that I do. I can actually show you the form and we can count how many there are. Not too many in the 7th grade. Okay, I've gotten lost here. Hang on a second. This one. All right, so I'm going to go back to the list that has the request form. So the enrollment request form for the 7th grade. You want to make sure you have the 7th grade one. Click on that. And make that larger. So when you first come in here, you're going to see this page. And it quickly tells you about the core classes that are already going to be on the form. So your English, math, science, social studies, PE, and health. Health. Well, health is going to be, yeah, it's going to be in there. And then it's got a due date of today. So this has actually been extended because of the snow days. The due date is February the 23rd. So that's the end of the day on Tuesday of next week. So you may want to write that down. I mean, it is right here on the form. And I really want to encourage everybody to get this done this weekend. However, if you don't get to it on Saturday or Sunday, you can still turn it in as late as the end of the day on Tuesday. This form will remain open until that time for people to submit classes. Okay, so you go in, and I'm signed into a Google account, and so you'll see your email. It's important that this email is accurate. If it's not, you can hit the switch account, put the one in there you want. It's going to send to this email your receipt of what you fill out on this form. So you go ahead and move forward, and so here it is, 2021-22 school year. Here's the 7 middle schools. You're going to pick the one that applies to you for next year. So it really doesn't matter which one I pick because I'm just doing an example here. So I haven't done a Smithton one yet, so I'll just pretend I'm a Smithton student. And then you hit next. And then they'd ask for the learning mode first. So before you put in any classes, it's first going to ask about whether you want the in-seat, also sometimes called face-to-face learning mode, or the virtual online learning mode. And remember, these are for the entire year next year. We are hoping that the pandemic will keep moving in a positive direction, but as we have all learned in the last year of our lives, there are no guarantees in life. So because of that, the district is offering virtual as well. So I'm going to start with a virtual example because this is a virtual class. And okay, I need to, I wish this was done differently, but it wasn't. It put both names in one box. First, so this puts us in a spreadsheet that I was looking at today, and it sorts it. We need to sort it so that we can see who submitted things. It's really important that you put your name accurately in here. I was looking at this and I'm seeing people just putting in their first name. I know that those aren't people who I presented to because I've been very clear on this. Make sure you put your first and your last name, and make sure that name is the name that appears on your report card. If your nickname is different, or if you go by a middle name, or put it in as your first and last name on your report card so that we can definitely find you. You don't want us to accidentally pull up somebody else. As a insurance policy, to make sure that goes well, your student ID will also go in as well. Double check and make sure that that is correct when you put that in.
Someone just asked in the chat, what is their student ID? It should be your lunch number.
Lunch number. Mm-hmm.
If you don't know that information, I can look that up for you later.
Yeah, and it's you can find it in various places in Schoology or Home Access. I know Home Access would have it in your class link. Then you hit next, if it all looks like it should. So since I clicked virtual, it shows, hey, it's virtual. And then it talks about math. So math is a core class, but it actually does ask for which math class you would pick, and your current math teacher will play a key role in making the recommendation on this, but ultimately the student, parent, the family has the final say on that. So there's two choices, either Math 7 or Advanced Math 7. Typically, though, you will continue with what you're currently in as a sixth grader. So I'm just going to pick one, because if you don't, it will not let you move forward. So let's count. Let's start by counting. So if you're virtual again next year, you can choose from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 titles. I say titles because it's not necessarily everybody can take. It's going to be pretty rare for somebody to take French 1A and Spanish 1A. And typically you're in band or orchestra. So it's not like everybody actually has 9 available to them. It's more like 7. It's a pretty simple process from the virtual side of things. So again, you've got we're picking 2 class periods here. And if it's a year-long class, that's going to take an entire period. And if it's a semester class, you're going to put 2 of them together. So one for the first half of the year, the other for the second half of the year. And depending on how many you click, they're groups. They're in 2 groupings, with the year-long ones at the top and the semester ones at the bottom. And then it gives you specific instructions under each. So for instance, let's say I'm a student who is in band, and I'm going to continue that. And then I want to start Spanish. So I've picked 2 year-long courses for 2 spots. So that is all that I would have room for. And I would not put any semester classes down because I used my 2 spots already. And just to double check that, it actually asks you, it says, did you check 2 boxes above? I did. Then select 0. So that kind of confirms that I will indeed not pick any semester classes if I click 2 boxes above.
Perfect. And then just one more thing, guys, about languages. So so next year you do have the option to take French or Spanish. If you're signing up for those classes, you want to make sure you have a lot of homework in French and Spanish in those language classes, because the way you learn the classes is by practicing and doing it a lot, right? How you learn that language. And so if you're someone that oh man, I kind of struggle with turning in my homework and turning stuff in, I wouldn't suggest taking those classes. Now, if you're awesome about doing homework and you're super interested and you're a person who gets everything done on time, then I think you should totally go for it. But just so you know, those classes, you will have homework like every single night. So just be aware of that. So, okay, sorry, I just wanted to mention that.
No, that's good. Yeah, and I kind of think of it as, so right this year, typically you're probably seeing, when you think of your homework, you have your 4 core classes. although it's 2 at a time this year. But next year, by the way, we are planning on going back to having 4 at once.
Even virtually.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And so think of it, if you take a world language as 5 from a homework side of things, because you're, like Ms. Pro said, most nights you will have homework in world language. So that, yeah, it definitely is an extra commitment. And again, there's no specific year where you have to start. The one benefit of starting it in the 7th grade, though, is it does slow it down a little bit and go a little bit more in depth. It doesn't move quite as quickly as it does if you take it in the 8th grade. So let me show you another example of how to do this.
I see it. And can we do I see a hand. Can we do another question really quick? Lua, oh, sorry. Oh, wait, hold on. You put your hand down.
No, I was putting my hand down because I was about to speak.
Okay, go ahead. What's your question?
So, it says at the top, oh, wait 1 second. Let me deal with my brother. Sorry about that. So it's up to 2 year-long classes. Does that mean that you can only choose one? Like you can either choose 1 or 2?
0, 1, or 2, any of those 3. Because right here, if you look, you could check 0 boxes above. So let's actually, in this case, let's say I don't pick any. So if I check 0 boxes above, then that means I got to go with 4 semester classes to fill up those 2 spots, which makes it very easy because there's only 4. There we go. I'm done with that. If I chose the 3rd possible choice, which would be one of these, so let's say I'm an orchestra and I don't want to do a world language yet, then I checked 1 box above, and so I select 2 below then. So I pick 2 of these. Let's say it could be any 2. So I picked choir and art. Now, if you notice, choir is actually here twice. You can take choir for the full year as well as for a semester. So before I move forward, I'm actually going to go back now and show you another option because it does look significantly different. Well, not significantly different. If I pick the other learning mode, so let's say you go with in-seat learning mode and you want to see what that looks like. It's going to add those tech and fax classes in there and Avid. So see now where it says select up to 4 semester courses, you're selecting out of 6. And then up here where it says select 2, you have another one there as an option. But it works the same way where if it's 0 boxes above, then you picked 4. So I'm going to actually, so I can move forward, I'm going to do what I did my last one where I had orchestra, and then I'll pick, say, invention innovations and computers. So you want to remember, though, what you picked here. And once I go to the next page, you won't be able to see it anymore. So now I'm making a mental note. And if you forget, you can go back and forth. When you go back and forth, though, make sure to do it the way that I did it. I don't know if you saw it here. Use these buttons here, back or next. Do not use this back button on the web browser. If I do that, and I did that in the middle of these presentations last week, it erases your choices and you have to start over. So you want to do this back button if you do need to go back. All right, so I got inventions, innovations, and computers. I'm going to remember that. Oh, but when I went back, I did not pick a math class. So let's pick a math class because it doesn't let you go forward without picking one. So now we get to the alternate choices. And what alternate choices are, these are your second stringers, your backup choices. This is if I didn't get the ones that I have picked so far because of a scheduling conflict or something. There's a number of issues that come into play that doesn't always allow that we can get everybody all their classes, because not every elective is offered every hour, depending on teacher schedules and when they teach and things like that. So if that was to happen, you would then say, okay, so let's say I don't get something there. It could be anything that I picked. So I picked a Spanish class. No, what did I pick? I picked an orchestra class, and I picked invention, innovations, and the computer class. So in this case, let's say, well, that's the case, then maybe I want Spanish. And so that'll be my first alternate choice. Okay. But if Spanish isn't offered either, then what would I want? Well, maybe in that case, I'll take family consumer science. And then it goes on. Okay, well, what if those aren't available? And I know you're thinking at this point, really? I'm still going to not have my classes yet? And yes, I'm going to say yes. And here's why. We try to get you your top choice. So by doing that, that then narrows the possibility of that next one, because that gets locked into a slot on the schedule. So what that means is, once I get you your first choice, and let's say the 2 hours or 7th and 8th hour, and that first choice has gone into 7th hour, that means you only have the pick of what's available in a given building 8th hour. And that limits the choices. Also, if we try to get you your second choice, that limits it further, because unless both classes are offered, so this is why you want to go ahead and fill these out, because there is a pretty good chance that one of these last ones might appear on a schedule. Now at this point, because I've been talking, I've lost track. I don't think I picked the theater arts yet. So let's go with that one. So there we go. So I've now picked my first group of classes and my second group of classes, meaning these are the ones that are going to go in if I've got a scheduling conflict. And first they'll try to get me into Spanish, but if that doesn't work, then they'll try family consumer sciences. And then, but again, if you forgot, it's like, oh yeah, what did I pick on that last one? You can go back down here, look at it again, and even change it. You know, you might change it. You can go back and forth. So now I've reached to where it asked me to submit. And once I hit submit, it will record those responses and send you an email. And I do think you could still make a change to it up through Tuesday if you do change your mind about something. But if you're not sure, I would just hold off until you are sure, because what it'll do is I don't know if this is the first time we've done this. I'm not sure if it sends 2 copies or not. But if you do, you can still change it up till Tuesday.
All right, Madeline has a question.
Okay.
What's up, Madeline?
So for like your alternative classes, can you pick 2 of the same ones?
So yeah, that's why you want to make sure you go back and double check everything, because you only want to pick a class once. The exception to that would be choir. It is possible that somebody might want to take their first choice would be like choir for the full year, but if that didn't work, maybe choir for a semester. So that one might appear, but technically it's not the same, because they actually list one as first semester choir and one as a year-long choir. But you only want to put a class in once.
Okay.
Once is enough. It doesn't raise the chances by putting it in twice. Any other questions?
Not seeing any hands.
So again, I make sure you do look at that description page so that you know exactly as much as we can describe the class to you, that what it is, because a class entitled Inventions and Innovations needs a description to go with it. As just an example.
I thought Anthony, hold on. Anthony, did you have a question? You had your hand up and then you.
Oh, no, I didn't.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so yeah, so just, it's the same form for everybody. You'll hit submit, it'll go in. The Jefferson Middle School kids, you have an additional form that you want to be aware of. So this is only for the Jeff kids. Let me just show you. So that's right here. It's the STEAM elective request form. The STEAM classes, the descriptions are on the form itself. So if you're looking, where are those? Those are on the form. And you're going to pick 6 of these. So Jeff kids do not have an ACT lab. They're going to pick this. Now, this will also be limited as well if you go virtual. These are the wide range is going to be for the in seat. Virtual will be some other STEAM version of that's not on the form here. I would still fill it out even if you are a virtual student, though. Go ahead and fill out this form. Again, that's only for Jeff kids. All right, everybody, that's all I had. So unless there's any final questions, I'll let you do some English.
Yeah, what question? And again, I'm going to email all these forms to you, so, and your parents. All right, here we got some questions.
So email is where they'll find those, not on your school.
I do both. I'll do both.
Okay,
Yep.
good.
So, Caroline?
If you choose to do online, can you still like participate in sports, like school sports?
Yes. Okay.
That's a great question.
The only thing about sports is you must be enrolled full time, either in seat or online. So this year especially, we've had all kinds of different variations of how people have been doing things. So you just got to make sure that you've got a full load of classes. That's really the only restriction.
Madeline, did you have a question? I thought I saw your hand up.
No, I thought I had a question, but I'm just like, that doesn't really make sense. So then I figured it out. It wasn't a real question.
Okay. No such thing as silly questions, so.
Yeah, and if anything does come up, feel free to email your counselor at your homeschool, and they should be able to get back to you in time by that deadline. And yeah, we'll try to get everybody's questions that might pop up answered.
All right, Madeline, you decided you're going to ask it.
No, I have a different question. When are you going to send me my lunch number?
Why don't we're going to do some English here, and then at the end of the Zoom, I can send you that. So.
Okay, everybody. Well, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
A good weekend. I guess it's sort of a weekend.
I know, it's weird.
Feels weird to start feels like starting on a Friday, but yeah.
Huh. Crazy.
We've become quite flexible people this year. This is going to be good for all of our personal growth. As we learn to become flexible. Nothing else, we get that out of this.
We are not done, friends, by the way. So don't you log off because
you're just done with me. Yeah.
So.
All right.
All right. See you later, Ms. Krogan. Okay. Anthony sent me a chat. Can you make the due date for the argumentative essay sometime next week? It's not even going to be next week. It's going to be later. Don't worry. You weren't even supposed to work on anything this week for the argumentative.
Okay, because I was.
Yeah, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that at all. So, and we're actually going to go step by step, and we'll do like a revision Yeah. So no, you are totally fine. You guys are all good with the argumentative. So, Caroline.
This isn't a question, but can I just say Anthony's like profile picture is literally like the most accurate picture I have ever seen.
That's pretty awesome.